I remember saying once, I'll always be here, and I am still here. It's a long and arduous process as writing, and it's one of those things that I can't stop doing for a while because of that long and arduous process and the fear of it. So I'm sat staring at pieces of paper again, blank pieces of paper.
The sheer joy of that particular moment will never leave me.
The biggest fear is that, it's staring into the abyss.
It was as if we had all come home.
You always know what it is you want. It's the getting there, the process of getting there, that's the abyss part of it. It's a process of small steps, and you never really know if you've actually achieved the end result. Ever.
The thunderous rock and roller coaster swung into action, and we're making that rare sound again.
I am still. In the case of Sovereign, the first half of Sovereign, I had a real nightmare with it, because there's only one chord in it. I found it very difficult at first, because I'm used to linking tunes into chord changes, which kind of makes up a tune. And when you've got a landscape like that, it's very difficult to fit something in. I don't think in terms of sound, Richard does. He's very keen on his colours, isn't he?
I think all music conjures up some colour in my mind. It's usually an abstract kind of wash of 2 or maybe 3 colours that sit together in a certain way with one predominant
The sheer joy of that particular moment will never leave me.
Use it, kind of to some degree, it kind of follows the colour with it, and you have that harmony like one major colour and another contrast.
It was actually listening to Bird in God's Garden by French with Kaiser and Thompson that I realised you could actually make tunes within that format. There's actually 2 great tunes. One's played by Fred Frith. They just create fantastic tunes.
Chunk or something, be a phrase or melody.
We're all on a huge ball of dust spinning through the universe.
Simplicity is always the goal. Communicate in the most basic way the feeling that you try to put across. And if that means something complex, then that's the way it has to be, but you always start from a simple premise.
My imagination.
To reach the end result, sometimes you have to go through shit.
You start off with one idea, thinking it's going to be a certain way, and it ends up being something completely different that you could never have imagined yourself. So I think you have to be willing to set it free. It becomes expanded upon over time. Sometimes I can hear the whole, try and imagine the whole song and then fill in the gaps. But it seems to be different with each song.
It was as if we had all come home.
I'm thinking more in terms of word and what I'm trying to say, and how it's said. I'm trying to say.
Let it go where it's going to go. Sometimes it ends up being a completely different song, but so long as something then it's
I've kind of stopped myself having expectations because I know that input is probably the most important thing in achieving that end result. When Richard said, "Shall we do a gig?" It was all very kind of, yeah, let's do a gig. The one that's currently going around my head is Sovereign. It was a very difficult process, the writing of that song, because it sounded so great when we first did it in rehearsal, that I wanted to do it justice. the basic start-off point was Dennis Potter. It's not about Dennis Potter. It's not necessarily about Dennis Potter's works, but he was the inspiration for it. He was, when I sat down to write the lyrics, Dennis Potter was clearly in mind. It's almost a letter to him, if you like. Because I think he had a problem because of his religious upbringing, that certain things that he did or said or thought weren't particularly morally right. And it's kind of a message to him to say that there is no morality, and you can say and think whatever you like, which obviously he expressed an awful lot in his works. But he was always racked with guilt about what he had to say and what he had to do, and he shouldn't be doing it.